What's going on, YouTube boxing community? It's your boy, Mr. Girth. You know what time it is. I'm over here with my brother right now, and we're about to give our after-fight afterthought on this Sergey Kovalev Jean Pascal rematch. Um, Basically, in my opinion, the fight basically went the way that I thought it would. It ended 2 rounds earlier than I said that it was going to. And it could have ended even earlier than that, honestly. Sergey Kovalev was obviously just carrying the fight longer. He clearly wanted to punish this guy. And Jean Pascal did not look as live as I thought he was going to look. And I don't think that's any discredit to him. I honestly think that Sergey Kovalev just made the proper adjustments in this fight. And that's really that. I mean, we'll get more technical. Yo, Avdi, what'd you think about it?
All right. Well, first things first. I expected a better fight from Jean Pascal. Just like you said, I thought that Jean Pascal really underperformed. I knew he was gonna get his ass whooped. I knew he was gonna get stopped. But I did think that he would be it would be more competitive than it was, and I just felt like I just felt like he underperformed, and um, you know I just noticed so many subtle changes from Sergey Kovalev in this fight. So many subtle changes that, from an untrained eye, it's hard to see, but Sergey Kovalev changed the timing of his straight rights, and he was stepping back it was kind of like he was just catching Jean Pascal with these counter like body shots, these short little body shots. They were hard to see, but they were affecting Jean Pascal. And every time Jean Pascal would clinch him, he would smash him to the ribs one time with like a stabbing blow in the same spot with his right hand. Every time they clinched. And, Sergey Kovalev had said, in an interview, I think he did this interview in September, but Sergey Kovalev said, like, well, I had a bad night when I fought Jean Pascal, and that, he hit me with a lot of shots that I don't feel I should have gotten hit with, and I missed a lot of punches against Jean Pascal. And Sergey Kovalev was basically saying that he's usually more accurate than he is in that first Jean Pascal fight, and that his defense is a lot better than that. And he was kind of saying that he just had a bad night, and he also credited Louis Pabon with saving Jean Pascal's life, which could be true. He took a savage beating in that first fight also, but the thing was, Sergey Kovalev made a lot of subtle changes and adjustments that he was just well prepared. Him and John David Jackson did a hell of a job coming up with a game plan. I know it looks a lot like the same thing from the first fight, but it wasn't. There was a lot of subtle differences in Sergey Kovalev's timing, his distance, and he was doing a lot of feints. And I don't know, he just beat the crap out of Jean Pascal. I mean, even that first knockdown, like he connected a power jab right to Jean Pascal's face and dropped him, and the ref didn't even count that. But, that didn't help Jean Pascal out in the end. So, I mean, what did you think about the fight, and what did you think about Jean Pascal's game plan? Or, what do you think of?
It's like I said, it pretty much went down exactly the way that I thought it was going to go down, except for the fact that, first off, I'm really surprised at how bad of a performance Jean Pascal put up. And if you pair that with the way he fought Yaneski Gonzalez, I'm really shocked, because Yaneski Gonzalez, it's like I said in the previous video on the pre-fight prediction, Yaneski, it wasn't a clear win that he had. I thought it was a clear win. I thought he won by 2 rounds. But Yaneski was a really gamed opponent, and he beat him, and he looked pretty good in that fight. I mean, it was very competitive. So Pascal didn't really come to this fight with anything, and obviously that's a testament to how good Kovalev is. But, just Freddie Roach was just a poor choice as a trainer to pick to fight somebody like Sergey Kovalev. Like, you'd expected him to have somebody more defensive, somebody more like, somebody like that. um, in his corner, but he took Freddie Roach on, and I honestly think it was a bad decision with Sergey Kovalev. Like the subtle changes that he made that made the difference were definitely like the feints, this the staying disciplined in his game plan. Like he didn't really, you know, like he didn't really stray far from what the keys to success were for him in this fight. Like he kept that proper distance. He was pumping that jab in Pascal's face all night. He was bringing the punches down to the body. He was, leaning on him in the clinch. He was getting him tired. It was a beautiful performance, but, you know, Sergey Kovalev is a bad motherfucker, and he's pound for pound number one in the sport. And anybody who's denying that at this point is not doing it with any, sort of fucking evidence and proofs. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's consistently beating the best. He's knocking them out, and other people aren't doing shit. And, they had this interview with Andre Ward and HBO. You got to give it to HBO, man. Like, when they want to fight, they really want that fight. And they make no hiding of that. There's no beating around the bush. Like, HBO came right out at Andre Ward. And Andre Ward kind of acknowledged the fact that he probably is going to fight Sergey Kovalev. But he was also being a really vague, pussy bitch about it, too. Like, he didn't really want to answer the questions. And, he just like, I'm just saying, like, this fight could happen, but definitely look forward to lots of excuses. And, a lot of fans, like passionate fans, are going to be trying to, come up with their own excuses for why this fight shouldn't take place. Just on Fight Hype, I'm starting to see people say, like, like Kovalev is too big for Andre Ward, when really that's not the case. They're pretty much around the same size, But, Av, what do you think about what's next for Kovalev and, this whole possible Andre Ward fight?
Well, unfortunately, we're not going to get the Stevenson fight. And that's too bad, but I'm really happy that HBO was highlighting the fact that, Sergey Kovalev has exclusive contract with HBO and he can't fight anywhere else. And the fact that Stevenson does not have a contract that ties him to Showtime or any other network, and the fact that he wasn't willing to cross over to HBO to have that fight, and they were, I really like the fact that they exposed that and they totally explained it, and I thought that was good. I didn't feel it was necessary for them to allow Stevenson to even talk. Like, we all know you didn't take the fight. You had an opportunity. They were talking to you. They offered you a 50-50 split, which, by the way, Stevenson doesn't deserve a 50-50 in my opinion. I mean, Sergey Kovalev's coming to the ring with, 4 of the titles now? Because the Ring Magazine title was on the line tonight, by the way, Of.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. So, Sergey Kovalev will be coming into the ring with, 3 of the sanctioning belts plus the ring belt, with this guy only bringing in that one WBC belt that's really become worthless in under his hands anyway. But we all know that Stevenson is the lineal champion, but really, who cares? What does that mean? You knocked out a Chad Dawson who already got knocked out when he drained himself to fight Andre Ward, and then he had the Kovalev fight. It was it was set up on HBO, and he left the network because he didn't want no parts of Kovalev. And all that WWE nonsense. You come into the ring trying to talk. It's kind of like, who cares, man? I love the way Sergey Kovalev just flipped him the bird, gave him the finger, was like, whatever, you ain't nothing. It's like, yo, the fight was in your hands. You could have went on HBO. You could have been on pay-per-view. I don't know how much Stevenson would make on a pay-per-view with Sergey Kovalev, but I think it would be his biggest payday. So, it's Stevenson's loss. And my whole thing with Stevenson is like, you're really like not a great fighter, and it's like you almost, if Fanfara had more energy, more stamina, he could have beaten Stevenson in that fight. So any B-level guy at light heavyweight has a chance to beat Stevenson. And Stevenson's slowing down. His skills seem to be deteriorating. So, I mean, I doubt that he even holds that belt for another year or so, year and a half, unless Al Heyman keeps feeding him more bums and homeless people from around the corner of my house. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, like, who is this bum gonna fight? He's become so irrelevant. It's like, Anyway, let's touch up on Andre Ward because we're running out of time. What did you think? Like, what do you think Andre Ward, is trying? What is he trying to do by being all vague? It's like we all know that the Sergey Kovalev fight has been signed. Two separate contracts, by the way. He signed one contract between his promoter Rock Nation and Sergey Kovalev's promoter, and he signed a separate contract with HBO. So he's under two contracts to fight Sergey Kovalev, and at the same time he's being all vague. He is saying he will fight Sergey. He's saying it's not if but when. But it's like, it just doesn't seem to me like he wants it. What do you think?
Nah, honestly, I don't think this motherfucker wants it at all, and for good reason. First off, okay, I got Sergey Kovalev winning this fight by unanimous decision, maybe by a knockout. I just think Ward is kind of good enough to, like gracefully bow out of a fight. Like I think he can kind of move and just kind of, you know, like sort of just take the L.
Keep himself from getting knocked out.
Yeah, like sort of just take the
like
L on
Bernard
his
Hopkins,
yeah,
take
like
a 120 beating.
Take the L on his own terms. I mean, I got it like a Kovalev winning 9 rounds to 3 or 8 rounds to 4. I got it being much more competitive than his fight with B Hop and Pascal, but I will say that I don't really think that Andre Ward is going to even fight him at all. There's just a certain like aura of bitch that I get off of Andre Ward whenever like someone asks him about Kovalev or whenever the topic is brought up in general. It's like he really doesn't want to fight Kovalev, and it's obvious, and his fans are also starting to sort of come up with these crazy ass excuses like, Kovalev is too big, when if you see them standing next to each other, they're pretty much the same fucking size. Like, you know what I think? I think this will probably be the first fight where Andre Ward is, a little smaller or around the same weight as the person that he's actually fighting. Because he's been so much bigger than everybody in his fights. And, if Andre Ward can pull off the W on Sergey Kovalev, I got no qualms with calling him number one pound for pound in the sport. I'm not a fucking racist. I'm just calling it like I see it. It's like I've said before. You can't keep, basically aggrandizing yourself with your fucking past accomplishments and shit. Like, you need to come up with some big wins. And, taking on this dude Barrera, it's definitely a good look if he wants to stay relevant, but he definitely needs to get this fight off with Kovalev. And if he wants to be considered the best in the world, if he's even interested in that at all, then he's got to fight and beat Sergey Kovalev. I mean, there's just no way around it. And aside from Sergey Kovalev possibly being upset, I mean, like I said, don't get it twisted. I could see a scenario where Andre Ward beats Kovalev. I mean, I would be surprised, but it wouldn't be the most surprising thing to have happened in the sport of boxing. So, I see Kovalev, though. I see him being around for quite some time. I really don't see this guy taking a turn for the worst. I just see him getting better at this point. But, we're running out of time because we have that bullshit copyright claim, like somebody basically like, they fucked our shit up on YouTube. So, tell us what you think. Like, comment, and subscribe.
One last thing I want to touch up on with Andre Ward. We got a 65-inch plasma TV at the crib, and it's like we, could see him sitting next to Kathy Duva in the front row, and he was hearing those bone-crushing blows that Sergey Kovalev was landing. And I'm going to tell you right now, man, he looked like a turtle trying to stick his head in his shell. He had a frightened look on his face. And I'm telling you right now, I don't see this guy getting in the ring with no Sergey Kovalev. I don't think he wants nothing to do with Sergey. I really hope the fight happens. I really do. But it's like, I just don't see it. And just real quick, because we have very little time left, I always, elaborating on what my brother said, I always felt that Andre Ward was like, he just seemed a lot bigger than a lot of the guys he faced. He always clinched and muscled them around in the ring. And the only time I ever saw him actually like fight a guy who was as physically big and strong as he was when he fought Saki Obika. And that was an ugly, disgusting fight with two guys using the same mauling tactics, except the difference being is that Andre Ward is so much better than Bika. Anyway, this is your boy Al from the Sweet Science Brothers coming to you live from NYC. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.